There's a new classification of child abuse that usually happens when two parents divorce or separate. One parent will try and turn a child against the other parent.
I get emails from people from coast to coast to coast and internationally raising concerns about being cut off from their children, being cut off from their grandchildren. This is clearly a significant problem.
It's called parental alienation. Researchers are calling it a serious case of child abuse, which can lead to depression and a lower quality of life. We're joined now by Tammy Schamuhn. She's a registered psychologist and a co-founder of the Institute of Child Psychology. Tammy, thanks for taking some time to speak with us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Now, I've never been through it, but I doubt it's uncommon for divorcing parents or separating parents to fight and badmouth the other parent, especially in front of the kid. At what point is it jump from just badmouthing to parental alienation?
Well, I think it's when one parent has an agenda. We're looking at a parent who has something that they want to, that other parent to be taken out of the picture. And that motive comes from that parent feeling very hurt, and they feel they want to punish their ex-significant other through use of the children. So I think it's one thing for a parent to get angry and then spout something off, and it's another thing for it to be very calculated. And this tends to be more of a calculated act on behalf of a distressed parent.
Now, this you mentioned, it's supposed to punish the other parent, but this actually has an impact on children in the short and long term.
Right. I mean, biologically, children were meant to be connected to and attached to both parents. And when this happens, you got to remember a child is half of each parent. And when a child is alienated from one of the parents, especially the biological parents, or it could be a grandparent or another person, but particularly when we're talking about parental alienation, that child is basically told that that other parent is no good. And by default, what we're actually saying is that child is no good. And that's where the trauma happens, is the child then feels there's something wrong with them inherently. Now, they may not show this outwardly at first, but as you had mentioned, we'll see issues later on down the road with things like such as depression and anger.
Now, when parents do split up, is there certain topics of conversation they should avoid with their ex and their children?
Well, they shouldn't be talking about the other parent very much at all, unless they have something nice to say. Now, I understand not all parents behave well, especially under a lot of stress, and divorce can be highly stressful for parents. But, you know, under rule of thumb, what I tell parents is always support that child's relationship with the other parent. And even if that parent does something that you don't believe is healthy, you say, you know what, that other parent, your dad, your mom, is loving you the best they know how. And I know that's hard when they do that, but I know you love mom or dad, and this can be really hard. But ultimately, we leave it up to that child down the road to decide whether they want a relationship with that parent. But that should be the child's choice down the road when they're old enough to understand the dynamics of what has happened in the home, not to put that, and that's a lot to put on a child. Because often these kids are told to say things, they're meant to feel bad if they show any love towards that other parent, any alliance towards the other parent. And then that child feels like the relationship with the parent who's doing the alienating could be threatened if they show preference or love or affection for the opposing parent, if that makes sense. So essentially, another way the trauma happens is that child worries about the relationship with the parent who's telling them to say bad things about the other one, that parent will reject them if they don't follow along.
All right, Tammy Schamuhn, thanks so much for taking some time to speak with us today.
Okay, thank you.
Tammy Schamuhn is a registered psychologist. We'll be back in just a moment.